Whether you love it or hate it, think it's the most highly effective fishing method known to man that gives the angler an unfair advantage, or that it should be banned outright. Follow me along this video as I discuss one of Ireland's most highly controversial and in some parts illegal fishing methods. That method being salmon fishing with prawns. In Irish river systems today, prawn fishing is severely frowned upon. Prawn and shrimp baits are strictly prohibited in many river systems across this country. Due to the nature of salmon being in such decline, the prawn would give you an unfair advantage, I would find. Fish would essentially go for prawns. There's many arguments to be made saying that it hooks the fish badly. I disagree. I've fished the prawn, I've caught on the prawn, but I don't just use the prawn, I use the spinners and also fly fish. I've fished with some of the top prawners in this country of Ireland and gains a lot of insights into their methods as well. And yes, some rivers do permit prawn fishing now, those rivers that would be open fisheries where you could keep a fish, but they're few and far between just in the current climate of the salmon stocks. A lot of anglers will exploit loopholes in the laws where it would state that live baits would be prohibited. Fishing a prawn is not a live bait, it's dead. It's still a bait and a very effective bait at that, but fishing it dead as opposed to live would be the legal loophole, which is more of an ethical issue where a lot of anglers would have a problem with that as well. I thought I would get some light on a hardcore prawner's perspective as well, so I decided to text one of them who wanted to keep his identity concealed just because of the controversial manner around the topic. So I had him up a wee text and I went to visit him, and yeah, he gave me his insights into fishing the prawn, and this is how I got on. Alright, how's things? How's things with you?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
So why do you use the prawn?
I use the prawn because it works. It's so much more effective than using any other method while salmon fishing. Basically, to fish certain methods of salmon, such as the spinner or the fly, you need the right water conditions. The prawn will work in any water condition. It'll work in the low water conditions when there's no water. Water is less oxygenated. The salmon still can't resist the prawn. Don't get me wrong, I do use and have caught on the fly and also the spinner, but the prawn is just far more superior to them. It works multiple times every occasion, and I don't fish anything else now.
It's illegal. Does that not bother you?
At the end of the day, law is just opinions backed up by force. The legality of a subject does not mean that it is morally right or wrong. Back in the day, freeing slaves was illegal. The Jews being killed by the Nazis was completely legal. Something being legal does not mean it's right. There is a lot of injustice in this world at the minute, and the law does not do anything to protect those. The only reason this is illegal is because it gives the angler an unfair advantage. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this in terms of morally right or wrong. It's completely fine from what I see.
Do you care or think that you'll ever be caught?
Once I go out to fish, I am risking my freedom doing this method of fishing. It doesn't bother me whether I get caught, because I will do anything in pursuit of my sport. To get the best out of my fishing, you may have to bend the rules. That's why I'm catching 30 to 50 salmon a year, because I bend the rules and I push boundaries that others won't. That doesn't mean that I'm wrong. In the eyes of the law, I may be wrong, but I find that I'm fine, and if I get caught in pursuit of something that I love, then so be it.
What do you say to those who say that you're doing real damage to salmon stocks?
Fishing the prawn does not affect the salmon in any way. Fishing a prawn and catching with them is one of the best catch and release methods known to salmon fishing. A salmon won't actually gut hook themselves while hitting a prawn. They just hit the underside of it and kind of suck it and spit it out. They're not actually there eating it, they're just protecting their eggs from the prawn that is going to do them harm in the spawning side of things. When you fish a prawn, you'll only ever hook them in the roof of the mouth, which means that the prawn will really only be in the roof of the mouth, which will be one of the best methods of releasing. I've seen deep hooked flies and spinners that have not gone back. If I was fishing a worm, the fish would have definitely not go back. It would just absolutely gut hook himself and he would go back dead. You would have to keep him, you would have to knock him over the head and keep him. As well, to people who say that the prawn is one of the best poaching methods for fishing it, I only release mine personally. At the same time, I know many's an angler who fish the spinners and the fly who illegally keep their fish on a flying sea. I know personally anglers who keep fish illegally after catching them in the fly. If you close a river off to prawners, that is less anglers patrolling a river for the likes of that and people illegally keeping fish and poaching. So I think prawning, and it's one of the best methods of releasing fish in my opinion, unlike the worm. See that there? That's a bag of the good shit there, mate. That there is the stuff. Using a treble and pin like that in the setup, if I was caught using that, I'd get straight to the jail. That's the float there you use as well, that is fully the setup there we were using there. If you're caught with any of that now, you'd be in bother, mate.
Having sat down with him, I would have to agree with a lot of the points he was making, but bottom line, he was a bit of a dodgy kind of guy as well. He's the type of regular rules of the law of the land wouldn't apply to him. He would just batter on and wing it, like he was just that kind of guy. But yeah, the main point I would like to make as well, one of the points he made was the prawn is one of the best ways of releasing a fish. I've had first-hand experience of releasing a prawn myself. Where it was hooked in the roof of the mouth and he swam back strong. I've seen plenty of footage as well of people worm fishing the worm for salmon and the fish being gut hooked, which would result in a fish kill and knocking them over the head and keeping them where the fish wouldn't have swam off strongly, which would be a catch and release.
Well, no point in trying to release this fella either. That's the worst about the worm.
Basically just my own personal thoughts and viewpoints on fishing the prawn. You know, the more anglers on the riverbanks the better. There's more witnesses for any sort of poaching or any sort of netting that's going on. You know, as long as you catch and release, but people don't catch and release fishing legal methods such as the spinner and fly and sea or the fly as well, and it's mostly always the old fellas that ruin it for the next generation. The prawn, it is very effective, it works very well, but you know, maybe too well at times. That's why people want it banned. But then there is a bit of a divide between people who fly fish who think they're a bit superior fishermen to any sort of other fishermen as well, wearing all their fancy gear and stuff like that. They would hate on the rest of them, but you probably see that yourself. I think there's wider issues to be dealt with. IFA are just so incompetent, if you ask me. The amount of fish kills this year alone, 2024, I could name fucking 5 off the top of my head, and they're sitting there crying about prawn fishing. It's probably cheaper to pay a court and fine for illegal dumping than to you know, dispose of waste correctly in a river that's going to, you know, obliterate salmon stocks as well. Fish farming, Moe, one of the main fucking, I know they provide a lot of jobs in Ireland, but farm salmon is a cancer to Irish society, a cancer to white overall society. Farm salmon and salmon farms is an absolute ecocide before us, before our very own eyes, and there's nothing being done about it. The best thing you can do, folks, is stop eating farm salmon from the supermarkets. Just point blank refuse to do it. You can see it provides jobs and its nutritional value, but at what cost? It's a very endangered species that's being absolutely obliterated, and then contributing to that is absolute capitalism on the back of fish farming boats. You know, maybe more tighter regulations around them before you come after the prawners. They're, you know, that kind of way. So it is what it is, and you see it for yourself. But who am I? I'm only a guy behind a camera. Yes, sir, the wider public are the ones who are going to make the change. So that's my own wee view. Not that it matters, but I thought I'd share it with you. Going forward, I think prawning is here to stay. There's Facebook groups, there's the next generation of anglers, there's lots of traction on Facebook, online to keep prawning for the facts going forward. There's a lot of the new generation as well. You see the TikTok guys, the younger generation on TikTok, smashing it, catching prawns. All you have to do is search prawn fishing for salmon on TikTok and you'll see an abundance of high octane angling, you could say. That's absolutely smashing it, and I think it is here to stay, especially with the Facebook groups, and there is a bit of a momentum to keep it for the points before mentioned. So if you find this video useful, folks, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll get you at the next one.